Hey everyone, I'm Sam from BioCosplay. Today we're taking a look at the Furay Planet Veteran William from Maestro Union. First we'll take a look at some of the details. There's a ton of paint on this figure, and for the most part it's all done really well. This is the head sculpt that comes on him in the package. There's a lot of nice variation in the sculpt and painting and texture of the fur, so it all looks really good. The inside of the mouth is nice and glossy. There's a little neck piece here. This is like a soft rubbery piece, and it kind of fades from dark brown to light brown to match the chest there. That looks really good. The sculpt and the fur on the chest and torso all looks really nice. In that package he comes with this coat on. This is also kind of a soft rubbery piece, and there's a lot of weathering going on. Some of the buttons maybe aren't the most cleanly painted, but it's not super noticeable with the overall look. I really like how they sculpted the wrinkles in the sleeves here. I think that looks really nice. He's got little tufts of fur on the back of his elbows. There's just a lot of variation in the color of the fur that really brings him to life. At the waist he has two belts. One belt sculpted into the torso with the pants. The other belt is a soft overlay, and it holds some shotgun shells. These are removable. Be careful you don't lose those. I think the ripped up jorts look pretty great. They're sculpted well. You can tell there's supposed to be werewolf muscle under there, so that looks really nice. It's got a nice dark wash over it, really bring out the details and the texture. He has the digitigrade legs, and the tufts of fur sculpted and paint on those look really good. It's got these big old feet. And a fun detail about those, they sculpted little paw pads on the bottom. Not super necessary, but it's fun that it's there. On the back of the figure, I didn't skimp on the paint, which is always great to see. He doesn't come with a tail on him in the package, but I put it on there. The bottom of the coat has some brown splatter on it, like it's all dirty and muddy. Two more buttons back here, and then at the collar there's more of that brown weathering. Lots of sculpting and weathering on that coat. If we take the coat off, you can see that the back is sculpted and painted nicely as well, which brings us to the accessories. First he comes with an extra set of upper arms to swap out. In case you don't want the coat look, you can have the bare arms. And they weren't too hard to pull out. There's a little ring to fill the gap in there, so he comes with some that are painted like fur. So you just stick that in there, and then you can pop in the upper arm. And at the elbow, there's a peg. And then that will peg into the bare arm. So here's without the coat. I think this look is great as well. I'm torn between which way I want to display him. Unfortunately, mine is missing a little bit of paint on this shoulder and bicep. It's not too bad. It does bother me a little bit. I may see if I can get a replacement or exchange it for a different one to see if I can get a better fur arm, but we'll see. Continuing with the accessories, he comes with this tail that just pegs in the butt here. He comes with bare legs. These are painted really well. It is pretty difficult to pop him apart at the waist, at least on mine. So I'll have to heat him up and see if I can get him popped apart. It's a bit more of a struggle than the arms were. The arms popped out pretty smoothly and were not too difficult to swap out. He comes with an extra fur overlay to go over the shoulders. This is also a very soft rubbery piece. It's very flexible. And that goes over the shoulders like this. It really bulks him up with fur. It makes him look a bit more feral. It doesn't really get in the way of the arms though, since it's super soft, so that's good. For hands, there are the gripping hands that come on him in the package. Unfortunately, a horizontal hinge on these. I really wish there would have been a vertical hinge. It comes with two trigger finger hands. Again, a horizontal hinge. It's maybe one of my biggest complaints about this, the horizontal hinges and these gripping and trigger finger hands, but we'll make do. Comes with 2 of these open claw hands, and then 2 even more splayed open claw hands. And then speaking of gripping hands, you need some things to grip. There is this double barrel shotgun. Fun thing about this, breaks open and there are actually shells in there, and the shells actually come out. I do kind of wish the holes in the barrels were sculpted a little bit deeper or painted black on the ends there. It's not a huge deal though. I still think it's a really fun accessory, especially since it opens up. It's pretty cool. And the hands are pretty soft, so I didn't have any issues getting them in there. I have to wiggle them in a little bit, but he holds them pretty well. He comes with 2 of these knives. These are painted very well, like a brass on the spiky guard here, and then a nice silver on the blade. And then to store all these weapons, it comes with 2 sheaths for the knives. These are painted really well. They look like leather and brass or some sort of metal. And for the shotgun, there's a holster that looks like leather as well. That tucks in there nicely. Then to store those sheaths and holsters, there is a shoulder harness situation here. There are 3 holes on the back and a peg hole on each of these, so you can peg them into whichever holes you'd like. And then you can attach that to the back of the figure with the straps there. These straps are adjustable, so it'll fit on him both when he has the jacket on and when it's off. So there's a few different peg hole options. And a little peg right here. It comes with 3 heads. We already saw the angry one that comes on him in the package. One with a closed mouth. The 3rd head has a pretty fun expression. He's got the one curled over ear and one squinty eye. He's like got half of his lip up, and then there's a little hole in the side of the mouth here so that this cigar can fit in there. I think it looks good both with and without the cigar. It's very expressive either way and a fun option. Those are all painted really well. All the mouths are glossy. Unfortunately, this is another spot where I have some missing paint. Right there on the lip, I might either try to paint that with some black paint or see if I can just exchange it for that and the arm paint that's missing. Otherwise, the heads are painted really well. They all have glossy teeth and gums. The way the paint fades from dark brown to lightish gray on the back here is really nice, and then the dry brush on the top of the head looks great. He comes with these dog tags that were on him in the package, and finally he comes with a comic book so you can learn the story of Veteran William. I will say the comic book, it doesn't have the best translation. You can still get the gist of what's going on in the story, but the translation leaves something to be desired. On to articulation. The neck itself is on a ball peg, and then the head is on a double ball peg. So with that, you can shift the head quite a bit up and down and kind of just move it around however you want. You can get a lot of nuanced poses out of it. There can be some gapping at times. It doesn't bother me too much. You can kind of shift this around to hide that. And if you do like some extreme to the side poses, you might see the gap from the back, but from the front it'll look good. With the extra shoulder overlay on, the neck really isn't hindered at all by that. You may need to shift around this little collar piece to hide the gapping or make sure that it doesn't get caught between the 2 layers. It may be just a smidge limited on the edges of where it would have posed before, but overall it's pretty close. I don't think you're going to have any issues posing it with this shoulder overlay as well. For the shoulders, those are on a ball peg, and they have the little cap over them to hide the joint. So it can shift around a little bit in there. So it acts a little bit like a butterfly joint, but it's really just it's scooching forward on that ball. But you can kind of adjust the shoulders up or down more to get some different looks at him that way. Shoulders go up pretty far, better than 90 degrees. There is a swivel at the bicep. His single jointed elbows that get just about 90 degrees. And then at the wrist there's a swivel and a hinge. At the torso, I think there's just a ball peg and it's pretty limited. Kind of just get a little wiggle back and forth, not really anything side to side. And you can get a bit of swivel out of that, but not a ton. And then at the waist, another ball peg, and that's where you're going to get most of the range. So that can move pretty far back and a decent amount forward. And then you can get some side to side tilt on that as well. For the hips, they move out to the side a decent amount. They maybe could have adjusted the pivot point of where the ball sits in there to get a little bit more range. I don't think it's a huge deal though. I don't think I really need a werewolf to do the full splits, so I think that'll be good enough. He can't really move back at all because he's got the cheeks. Moving forward, it goes forward this far, but has come out at a bit of an angle. And I think that's more of just the way that the peg is set in there rather than how it's sculpted. Because you can kind of see here, it's not like clashing into the sculpt. Single jointed knee at the knee. It gets pretty good range. I do really like how they sculpted the knee under the pants here. I think that looks great. And for the digitigrade extra joint, moves back that far and forward that far, so a lot of range on that. And then the foot moves back all the way forward really far. And then he does have an ankle rocker. For the tail, it's on a ball peg, so you can move that around however you'd like. And then there are ball pegs at each joint here, so you can get a little bit of range out of those. Not a ton, you can kind of just straighten it out or give it a slight curve. And then with the coat on, it doesn't really limit any of the articulation just because it's so soft, so it just moves out of the way. For size and comparisons, the height's really going to depend on how you have him posed, because the legs can extend a bit more, and then the head can shift up more on that ball peg, or down more. So I tried to put him in sort of a neutral pose with the legs posed in a way that he's still pretty stable, and the head kind of at the midway-ish point, just where I thought it looked natural. And he's standing at about 8 inches tall, so he's got some size to him. For comparisons, we'll get some big boys in here. Here's the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom Thane and Cosmic Legion's Kragnar. Here he is with the Marvel Legends Black Suit Spider-Man and 1000 Toys Hellboy. I feel like he would fit really well in a Hellboy display. To see how he would size up on a horror display, here's the Figura Obscura Mask of the Red Death and NECA NYCC Ghostface Takes Manhattan Ghostface. Here he is with the Noda Toys Wukong and Animal Warriors of the Kingdom Lexion. And these three figures are probably my favorites to come out this year. And I think they could all fit in a display together since they're all kind of anthropomorphic animal sort of characters. So overall, even with the minor issues, this is still a great figure and I definitely recommend it. It was about $95. I got it on Amazon, so it's a bit pricey, but it does come with a lot of accessories. And the sculpt is great. The majority of the paint is done really well, except for those two little minor spots I had on mine. They're also coming out with a white version that has a chainsaw. That one looks really cool. I'm really tempted to get that now, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else they make. Hopefully for the future releases or their other figures, they have a vertical hinge for the hands. Really with the articulation, that's just my one complaint. Otherwise, I love it. I think it's great. So if you're looking for a werewolf, definitely consider picking this one up. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.